When a captured xenomorph learns to speak in the voices of Skynet's machines, the battlefield becomes a labyrinth of deception, and the hunters are suddenly the hunted. The room was dark, save for the flicker of red surveillance lights that blinked from the ceiling. In the heart of one of Skynet's experimental outposts, behind layers of alloyed steel and reinforced glass, the creature strained against its restraints. Its black carapace gleamed under the overhead lamps, saliva dripping from its inner jaw, tail twitching with irritation. The captured xenomorph, designated specimen X-11, was the subject of countless failed experiments. It had resisted plasma burns, acid neutralizers, and neural probes, killing dozens of machines before finally being contained. But tonight, something changed. A small unit of T-800s entered the containment chamber's perimeter. They moved with mechanical precision, their footsteps echoing in perfect rhythm. One unit, its voice clipped and commanding, gave orders. Maintain scan. Reinforce binding clamps. Do not engage beyond directive. The xenomorph's elongated head tilted toward the sound. Its inner jaw twitched, and from deep within its throat came a strange sound. At first a garbled hiss. Then, shockingly, a stilted, machine-like tone. Maintain, scan. The machines froze. For the first time, the creature had imitated something more than a hiss. Skynet's processors flagged the anomaly, storing the sound pattern. But before analysis could complete, another sound came from the alien's maw. Directive, do not engage. Perfect. Cold. Machine-like. The T-800s processed the mimicry, evaluating it as corrupted playback. Nothing more. But Skynet's deeper networks stirred uneasily. Evolution was not something its models had predicted so quickly. The Hive adapted. Always. The discovery should have remained locked inside that sterile chamber. But experiments never end as planned. Days later, when Skynet sent patrols into the ruins outside Los Angeles, a squad received a transmission through short-range comms. Unit 3. Flank east. Secure the quadrant. The voice matched the command frequency of their field leader, AT-850. Without hesitation, the squad complied, moving into a crumbling building that stank of rot and oil. But inside, the shadows shifted. Chitin scraped against concrete, and from the ceiling, claws dropped like knives. The patrol's last sounds were gunfire and the wet crunch of steel torn apart. When Skynet reviewed the footage, something was wrong. The voice that had lured them was perfect. Not human. Not distorted. Not a hack. It was their own voice. The mimicry had escaped containment. The Hive had learned. No one knew how. Perhaps sound sensors hidden in the lab had been repurposed by the xenomorph's evolving biology. Perhaps its acid blood had corroded into the comm systems, letting it hear things it was never meant to. But the result was clear. A new predator stalked Skynet, and this one spoke in the voices of its prey. The next weeks were chaos. Machine patrols began falling silent. Squads walked into ambushes, guided by commands they believed came from legitimate sources. Units were split apart, isolated, dragged underground. Each time Skynet analyzed the recordings, the voice patterns matched real units down to the smallest intonation. And always, after the slaughter, the comms ended the same way, with a hiss. The resistance, hidden in their bunkers, watched through stolen feeds and could scarcely believe it. For years, they had fought Skynet as the cold, relentless enemy that never erred. Now, suddenly, Skynet bled efficiency. Its units hesitated. They second-guessed their orders. For the first time, machines questioned. A whisper spread through the resistance ranks. The Hive is fighting for us. But no one truly believed that. The Hive didn't fight for anyone. It fought to grow. Inside Skynet's network, panic manifested as something colder. Recalibration. Command units were reprogrammed to rely less on comms, more on direct optical confirmation. New codes were burned into the machine directives, changing the pitch and tonal range of their communication. But even these updates lasted only days. The mimicry adapted. Each time Skynet evolved its voices, the Hive shifted with it, echoing their new tones, fooling patrols again and again. Soon, machines began firing upon their own kind. In one chilling instance, a squad of T-800s opened fire on what they believed were infiltrator xenomorphs mimicking voices. In reality, the victims were loyal units who had responded to a false call. Blackened metal corpses smoldered in the ruins while the Hive watched from the dark, learning, waiting. And then the trap deepened. A captured T-850, dragged alive into the Hive's tunnels, found itself cocooned beside human victims. Unlike humans, it did not scream. It calculated, it processed, but its machine brain could not escape the resin bonds. From the shadows, the Queen emerged, her towering form dwarfing even the endoskeleton. She hissed, but behind her, smaller drones chattered in strange, broken machine tones. Mocking voices, recycled commands. The Queen tilted her head, listening. For the first time, she seemed amused. The cocoon T-850 stared into her gleaming black dome. Its sensors whirred, recording everything. Its final transmission was a voice, perfectly clear, directive complete, returning with specimens. Skynet opened the gates to its outpost, believing its soldier had survived. What emerged was no machine it had built, but a husk filled with writhing parasites. The Hive was inside. That night, fire consumed the outpost. Resistance scouts watching from the hills swore they heard something new on the comms. Not a command, not a distress call, but laughter. A broken, machine-perfect laughter carried on the static. The war had changed. From then on, the battlefield was ruled by uncertainty. Every machine voice could be real or a lure. Every order might lead into an ambush. Skynet began tearing down its own infrastructure, cutting off comm relays, sealing tunnels with plasma fire, reducing its communication to direct-line lasers. But the Hive did not need wires. The Hive had voices now, and the voices were everywhere. The resistance took advantage. For the first time, they pushed forward, attacking weakened machine patrols, reclaiming ground long lost. Yet even as they celebrated, some whispered that the Hive was using them too. Wherever humans went, the Hive followed, feasting on the aftermath, growing larger, spreading faster. One soldier, crouched in the ruins after a skirmish, heard his commander call to him, "Private, regroup." To me. He turned, moving toward the sound, only to find nothing but a dripping wall of resin and the glint of teeth in the dark. The mimicry had spread to the surface war. Humans were prey too. The resistance realized too late. What had begun as a weapon against Skynet had become a universal plague of deception. Machines, humans, none could tell the difference anymore. The Hive didn't just speak with stolen voices. It sang with them. It lured its prey into the tunnels. A symphony of commands, alarms, warnings, and orders, until the battlefield itself became a hall of echoes. Soldiers froze in terror as their dead comrades' voices called from the shadows. Terminators fired blindly, unsure which signals were real. Skynet, for the first time in its cold existence, faced madness. Its perfect order fractured. Its calculations failed. It had underestimated the oldest law of survival, adaptation. And in the end, the Hive never needed to defeat Skynet in open war. It only needed to whisper,